Hey, it's Madeline from Embrace the Madness. Thanks for joining us this week. I just have to take a second. I'm just like, I haven't done this in a while, and so I can feel myself like off track or just either afraid I don't know what to say or that what I say is not going to make sense or almost like a little microphone shy. I can like feel it in my chest a little, but I think that's just like my body's way of trying to freak me out for no reason. Um, so yeah, we're here, we're doing the damn thing, and I just have a lot in my head going on. And I think when that happens, my sabotagey self likes to like hook onto it and make me feel anxious and weird and stuff like that. So if this is your first time listening to Embrace the Madness, welcome. Yeah, it's just a podcast where we acknowledge all these feelings of anxiety that I have and recognize that that's like my human response. And instead of being afraid or paralyzed or frozen and stuff like that, we look into it and figure out what's going on. So last week, fucking holy shit. That episode was so good. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to the episode before this. I got with my friend from high school, Ingram, and she is now a social worker. And so we got to kind of talk about mental health and where that intersects with race. And it was just so good and so informative and so passionate. And so if you haven't listened to that, just press pause on this one and go backwards because you will be doing yourself a huge ass favor. It's pretty long, but like so good, dude. Probably one of my favorite that I've done so far. Totally. And that's something that's interesting too. Like I know that podcasts interview people and I think I like knew that it could be a thing when I first started, but I didn't know how much fun it would be and listening to people's stories and listening to how they got where they are and listening to their own personal awareness, and it's super cool and super captivating. So I'm excited to get that journey started. This week I think I'm I'm in this kind of limbo where it's like I was right before I started doing my podcast. And the way my brain thinks, well, first off, I automatically assume like the worst or that I need to figure out every single thing so that I don't get it wrong or don't forget about it or something like that. And so that translates to me planning the heck out of something. And if you know, like it's so much easier to plan something than to actually follow through with it. So, anyways, in the beginning of my podcast, I was like, what direction do I want to go? What do I want to talk about? What are all these things? Well, when Corona happened, I literally was just like, I don't know anymore. I feel like this huge uncertainty in the world, I didn't know what to talk about that would make sense. And so kind of from November to March, I had a plan and I was kind of just winging it after. I think maybe like my birthday episode was like the last planned one. And so I just been winging it and it worked. I'm just gonna start a Patreon and I feel like in order to now record 2 podcasts a week, I'm gonna have to find some structure because figuring out and deciding what I'm gonna talk about, plus recording those, plus editing and uploading and doing all the promotion and stuff, it's just like that's a lot of work. And so my brain's like, well, I gotta plan everything out. So, anyways, I think I was talking about what this episode was about. So I guess lately my theme has just been current events, and I feel like that's pretty relevant. And I feel like kind of going with the theme of the podcast, I mean, apparently this is part of like human shit that we have to be able to deal with. Like, I don't think any of us could have ever anticipated like a pandemic and things turning political when it's all about, I don't know, loving each other. And so I'm trying to figure out how to observe what's going on and embrace it and kind of be able to integrate these things that it's teaching us in order to move forward. And I guess that's kind of what the episode's about. I think really it was just like keeping your perspective when things are going crazy. And I think that's a really important thing that we figure out because literally since March, I feel like it's just like one thing after another. And it's been really hard, I think, emotionally for all of us, just one, dealing with uncertainty when we have been born into this world that created so much certainty and nobody knows what the heck's going on. And I personally have been going through a lot of like things I think that I've been repressing over the years. And I think a lot of that is, like rejecting myself and trying to be something I'm not and exploring what that means, exploring why I don't think that I can do something, exploring where all this like is coming from. And so that's like a lot of stuff that holds me back. And I think we're all kind of experiencing this like really intense surge of emotions coming to the surface, especially talking about racism. And like, I was listening to a really good podcast today. If you are into all this like spiritual, higher consciousness thinking, the highest self, excuse me, by Sahara Rose is so good. But she did one today. I think his name's Panache Desai. And they were just talking about how, racism didn't just like appear out of nowhere. Like it's something that I think a lot of people deal with unconsciously. And now there's just a place for it to come to the surface. And so like all of these things existed. They were just kind of like under this veil of certainty and everything's fine. And here is a cell phone and social media and Netflix. So you can just like get lost down that rabbit hole. And in reality, like there's a lot of stuff that's happening that we have no idea about or are not aware of or don't want to look at, aren't ready to look at, and stuff like that. So I think like just looking back, this quarantine has just been brutal. And where we're at now is just everything is falling under this dichotomy and very polarized and very black and white and very right or wrong. And I think that's my higher self knows that like not to feed into that divisiveness. And my human self is just like, well, what the heck do I do? Like, and there's so much. And so I think this is my first attempt at doing a podcast without any outline. So here we are. I'm just like listening to myself be like all over the place. But yeah, I think these feelings and this experience is totally worth acknowledging because I don't know. It's just like, it's so insane to think about. I was writing the date on something yesterday and I was like, August? When did it turn into August? The middle of August. It's just been crazy. I haven't been working. I haven't had a job. Like, half the fucking country's unemployed. Well, maybe not half. I don't know the number, but you know what I mean. Like, the restaurant industry is crazy. We don't know if we're ever going to get to have live music again. Some of these venues are at risk of closing. Some of these small businesses and restaurants are at risk of closing. Like, where did this year come from? And so, and maybe I'm making a little sense. Like, for me, and I am just an introspective person, so I'm just like always thinking and always thinking of how I interact with things. But I think early on, I realized like I need to get my emotions and my mind under control. Otherwise, I'm going to get lost in all of this. And I think that also could be, keeping your perspective grounded. And I think for a lot of us, the uncertainty of losing our jobs isn't immediately like worst case scenario, like, holy crap, what do I do if I have no money? What am I going to do if I get evicted? What am I going to do? And we're having to face all of these really scary and really real things. And so I think staying calm is like the first thing that we have to do. Because, yeah, what if all those things do happen? Like, that would be so scary. I'm so grateful that I've been able to make my rent payments, but I don't think that's the case for everybody. And so I can totally understand where these feelings of despair and hopelessness would like arise. And I think although we have these feelings, I think we have to kind of come back to center and ground ourselves. And maybe we don't know how to do that. And maybe we don't know how to get these intrusive thoughts out of our head, or don't know how to smile when everything makes you want to break down and just like crawl in a hole. I think what's helped me is observing my thought patterns. And I think I've just been able to deepen that ability over time. And just, when you bring awareness and consciousness to something, then, you're shining the light on it. So it's not like dark anymore. And really just growing in self-compassion too. I think being able to observe my thoughts and look at them just for what they are, thoughts, and not who I am or determining my worth, and be able to remind myself that I come from a higher place. And I'm sure, especially now, like a lot of people would be like, well, why would God ever put us in like a shit situation like this? And I think that's totally valid because, yeah, like, why? That's where gratitude comes in. And at the bare minimum, like, we're alive having this experience right now. And that we know is something that can be taken away from us really fast. And I think meditating on that fact that, like, if that's all you have to be grateful for, then at least there's that. And grateful that you are breathing. Literally, just like the gift of life is just something to be grateful for. And I think when we can come back to this gratitude and ground ourselves with this knowledge, then we are able to develop strength, and we become strong in that we can handle whatever is coming in our way. And I think that is definitely something that has helped me over the last few months. And like literally, I feel like if 2020 was a thing, it would be a paper shredder. Because I mean, that's how I feel. Like, I just feel like all of these feelings and things are just ripping me to shreds. And I think I always try to come back to like the idea of there being this cycle, and the cycle being birth, death, and rebirth, and everything being constantly just, a manifestation of that cycle. And that's one of the things that I talked about at the beginning of the pandemic is just we're not used to the idea of impermanence. And I mean, this year has totally shown us impermanence is real and you better get with it or you're going down too. Because I think everybody's version of reality just went through the paper shredder. But I think another higher purpose of that is so that we can begin anew and start to transform these old things that weren't working and these old thought patterns and these old systems and truly just destroying them so that they can be reborn. And a lot of that is really hard when you prescribe to this idea that, everything's happening for a reason. And you want to let go and let God, and you want to trust your process, and you want to do all these things. And it's really hard when shit gets really bad. And I think that is where a lot of that despair comes from, is just like trying to fit that into the narrative and wondering like what the hell, how is this part of what's supposed to be happening? We don't know. There's a lot that we don't understand. But I think a pattern that I've noticed over these past few months is the more I look inward and listen to what feelings are coming up and give them space and kind of look at them curiously with the curious mind, whichever sounds better, then the more at peace I'm finding myself. And when I say peace, I mean comfort in knowing that it will be okay. You know how they say, like, it's got to get worse before it can get better? I mean, honestly, I think a lot of the things that have been happening this year are blessings in disguise. And I think when we resist these blessings, then that's when suffering happens. And at least it's working for me. And I'm not sure where you are in your spiritual journey or where you feel in terms of your connection with God or your higher power. But I'm learning that when I follow my intuition and follow my heart, I mean, totally applying rationality, but when I'm doing these things that I'm being called to do, then things start transforming and building and growing. And I think I've easily had like one of the weirdest, most intense, topsy-turvy paper shredder years. And I don't disagree that everybody else has too. I think this whole entire has just affected all of us. And naturally, in so many different ways. We're all such different people. And not everything's going to work for all of us. And not everything's going to make sense for all of us. And that's okay. I think we have to embrace our individuality in that moment. We are who we are because we are. And that's something to embrace and something to love and to cherish because I don't know, because we're going to be gone one day. And that's something I think that I've struggled with my whole entire life is learning to love myself and embrace myself. And I know how much pain and suffering that causes, and I can feel it in our world. But I think we can't rely on this external world to save us and to fix us. And I say fix very loosely because we're not broken. I just, fixing these patterns and fixing these habits. And I think the only thing that we can do is go inside and heal ourselves that way. It's a lot harder than getting on social media and calling out all these people. But I think it's what we have to do. And I'm still struggling with this too in my life. I feel like just this whole binary system that we have to be one thing or another. And if you're not against this, then you're for it. And that makes you an awful person. And it's just, I don't know. It's just like I get on Facebook and you can just feel the pain oozing. And I'm having a hard time not getting sucked in. And I'm sure everybody is dealing like with that feeling. I mean, you don't want to turn it off because then you're not in it and you're not informed and you don't care. And I think that's a lot of sentiment that's happening right now. And it's really interesting just to observe like all the judgment and observe all of it within others, within yourself, within the collective. It's just interesting seeing like where we are in terms of our healing as a collective. Me talking about all these things like without an outline, I'm just like over here like having like thought parties. I was like, what am I trying to say? I'm just getting lost in thought. So I guess going back to the topic of this episode, just keeping perspective. I think it's important to acknowledge all of these feelings and all of this pain and all of this suffering and all of this hatred. We have to talk about it and we have to acknowledge it. Otherwise, we're not going to heal from it. Now, getting to the point where we can talk about it might be a little hard because since we're all such different people, we're all going to have different responses. And some of us are going to be angry and some of us are going to be sad and some of us are going to be in a place where we can't yet talk about it because we're so emotional. And a really important thing came up the other day. I don't remember where I heard it, but it was just talking about being kind to others because you don't know who's experiencing cognitive dissonance right now. And I think that's something that I am learning through this whole movement is learning to have compassion and holding space for even those people who I don't agree with. Because I feel like our first instinct is to get upset and angry and passionate about why they don't agree with us. But I think it's important to remember too that when we experience intense emotions at another person, that's when their defenses get up. And it's going to be really, really, really hard to make change when everybody's mad at everybody. And I think that's also something too to remember that this shouldn't be about which side are you on. I think the only side of anything needs to be us as humans wondering why the hell the people that are governing us aren't taking care of us. Like, I thought that's what people were supposed to do. Represent their people to promote a better well-being for everybody. And we're sitting here getting caught in, are you on the left side? Are you on the right side? Are you blah, 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 blah. And like, we forget that it's the people in power that are screwing us over. But we're too busy fighting on Facebook about things, and we're missing the entire point. And this is the point where we need to all get together so that we can make a change and come together, especially with the people we don't agree with. I think there's a way to go about it in a calm and a respectful way, and I think until then, we're just going to keep getting stuck in these patterns. And I think that's still relevant to keeping the perspective in the chaos, but maybe. Yeah, so I was just reflecting on like all the things that have happened this year. Being unemployed, wondering where I should go. And I mean like in life, not anywhere. But looking at like, I guess the higher, oh shit, I just hit the microphone. Looking at the higher cycle of all this. Basically, everything kind of got paused at the beginning of the summer and the spring. And we've talked about it before. You sometimes need that rest in your life to balance out the go, 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 go. And that's something I've especially realized within myself is when I don't honor my exhaustion or tiredness, and I just keep trying to force something that isn't ready, then I just get frustrated and I get sad and I start suffering. And so at least that's how I've been trying to reframe this pandemic and all of these things, is at least just, honoring that pause and honoring that rest and trusting that there's something higher at work to protect us and move us forward. In terms of this left and right binary system, I think it's important to take a step back and kind of look at everything that's going on and recognize that we are just fighting each other, and recognizing that we are all in pain, smearing our pain on other people and their pain. And so we're really just like having a pain party. We need T-Pain up here. And I say that because it's true. And it might be kind of hard to understand and realize. I mean, for me, like, that's what all my past relationships were, just me being unhealed and hurting other people because I wanted to feel better. And I think that's another perspective to remember, is like, hurting other people isn't going to make you feel better. It seems like it will. And I think that's our ego's way of, addressing the situation. But it ends up making us feel worse. I think the best thing that we can do right now, when everything's all up in the air and crazy and we can't trust anything in the news or the government, I'm at this point where I question myself. I'm so confused. And we all know that's not a good place to be, because then you're like, everything starts breaking down. I already question myself, and now this whole uncertainty and fake news and conspiracy theories are just like I have no idea what's real anymore. But I do know that my existence is real. And that's about the only thing that I know to be real. And so I think from there, we can move to a place of making sure we are living in a place of love. And that means love for yourself too. Because I think when we can heal ourselves and acknowledge the pain inside of us, then we can start to move through it. Because we don't know. It's like if nobody tells you that their feelings are hurt, or if nobody tells you that you upset them because you didn't clean your room or something. And it's like they won't know if you never tell them. And so I think for a lot of us, getting to the part where we would be comfortable telling someone how we feel, that's hard. But I think the more that we turn inside of ourselves and validate ourselves and take care of ourselves, then we build the confidence to know that our emotions are valid and our feelings are valid. And it's important to me that I communicate my feelings and my boundaries. Because when we can build ourselves up in this way, then we can totally show up as who we are in all our strength and all our courage, so that we can continue to fight the good fight and take care of each other and look out for one another and create change together. I appreciate you listening to my rambling. I hope it made some sense. So, yeah, I think that's about it for today. So, with that being said, I kind of have like a loose plan of how I want this to go, and I'm trying to brainstorm things for Patreon. I'm launching September 2nd. It's my half birthday, so it's got a little significance to me. That's a Wednesday. So, yeah, my plan is to have regular episodes come out on Mondays. And then with the basic Patreon membership for $5 a month, you'll get 4 extra episodes a month. So like each week I'll do another episode. And I'll handwrite you a cute little postcard. You actually get the postcard when you are a member of all the tiers. And I'm going to, talk about the tiers whenever I get over my procrastination. It's coming out so hard right now, and I'm trying to be like, okay, be mindful of this. Just keep moving forward. So yeah, I'll definitely do some more details. I think I'm probably going to do a podcast closer to time about it, or I don't know. We'll see. I work best under pressure, so just wait. But yeah, if that $5 tier membership sounds cool to you, I'm also going to have one for $15 and one for $30. And the 15s is kind of like a more beefed up version of the first one. There'll be like more content you can download. I think I'm going to try to record some tranquil meditations and see how that goes. And I just got lost again. Oh yeah, for the $30, I'm going to try a cool Zoom call. So I'm gonna limit it to 30 people so I can do things and have space and not overwhelm myself. But I'll do 30 spots, and that you'll get a 30-minute Zoom call with me, and it'll just be like a space where you can ask questions, or you can share what's been going on, or I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't have a space where they can feel vulnerable or share their true feelings or things like that. And I think giving people that safe space is really important. And I think it's just something that I have space and energy for. So I want to do that for people. So if any of that cool Patreon stuff sounds like it's up your alley, just let me know if you have any questions, and also stay tuned on social media. And what else? I think that might be it. I'm like over here like trying not to like lose myself. And it's okay if you lose yourself, because you got to lose yourself to find yourself. Am I right? Anyways, I'm going to let you continue on with the rest of your day. So I hope it's magical, and don't forget that you're awesome and you're strong. And this is Madeline. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Thanks for tuning in this week on Embrace the Madness. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Follow me on Instagram at Embrace the Madness Podcast for updates and more.